Welcome everyone to our information session about the Staff Exchanges Action, part of the Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions under the Horizon Europe Framework Program. My name is Monika Holik and I am the head of the unit responsible for the Staff Exchanges Action at the European Research Executive Agency. We are thrilled to have you here today for this information session dedicated to the Staff Exchanges Call 2026. It is truly encouraging to see so much interest in our action in our last call for proposals. In 2026, MSCA turns 30. In this special year, we honor not only the legacy of Maria Sklodowska-Curie herself, but also the transformative impact her namesake program has had on the world of research and innovation. Since its inception in 1996, the MSCA program has supported over 150,000 researchers, including 23 Nobel Prize winners, enabling them to transcend borders, disciplines, and sectors. As we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the MSCA, we do not only reflect on the profound influence of these actions on individual researchers, but we also acknowledge their structuring impact on educational institutions and businesses in Europe and beyond. MSCA has shaped the scientific landscape and changed the lives of researchers for 3 decades now. MSCA equips researchers with new knowledge and skills through mobility and exposure across borders, sectors, and disciplines, enhancing training and career development as well as structuring and improving institutional and national recruitment. In doing so, the MSCA helped to lay the foundations of Europe's excellent research landscape across Europe, contributing to boosting jobs, growth, and investment, and solving current and future societal challenges. The 5 main areas of intervention of the MSCA, as specified in the Horizon Europe regulation, are to nurture excellence through the mobility of researchers across borders, sectors, and disciplines, foster new skills through the excellent training of researchers, strengthen skills development across the European research area, improve and facilitate synergies, promote public outreach, and engage with society. MSCA contributes to various policy priorities of the EU, including strategies on competitiveness, equity, resilience, international cooperation, and sustainability. Through MSCA, participating researchers see profound improvements in their conditions, from fostering academic cornerstones such as freedom of scientific research to practical yet very important improvements in employment conditions, spreading equal opportunities, diversity, and inclusiveness. All these while pursuing your ideas and advancing knowledge in the all possible fields and disciplines, thanks to the bottom-up nature of the MSCA. By participating in MSCA, you and your organization benefit from expanding your international and intersectoral networks research through collaboration and mobility. At the same time, following the MSCA guidelines and best practices will bring you tangible benefits such as improvements in the quality of the supervision. Moreover, MSCA projects are frontrunners in the supporting open science practices and promoting environmental sustainability. Finally, the EU science and innovation will benefit from you. You will play an important role in achieving EU priorities and improving EU policies through constructive feedback to policy, changing the lives of our citizens and boosting our economy through innovation. Let's now focus more on MSCA Staff Exchanges. Our program funds excellent research and innovation projects that are implemented through mobility of the staff among participating organizations, spanning both academic and non-academic sectors in different countries. Through these exchanges, public and private organizations collaborate closely, enabling transfer of knowledge, growth, and the transformation of innovative ideas into tangible products and services. Today's session is designed to provide you with a comprehensive overview of the Staff Exchanges Action, covering its objectives, eligibility criteria, and application process. Our action follows a bottom-up approach, allowing flexibility across all scientific fields. You set the priorities, and we support the mobility. The Staff Exchanges Action offers unique value within the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions program by promoting international and intersectoral collaboration. It facilitates the sharing of knowledge and skills between academic and non-academic sectors, which is essential for innovation. Staff Exchanges is also the most international action in the MSCA, with the highest number of partners outside the European Union. Finally, good news about the success rate. From over 300 proposals we receive per call, we are able to fund 1 in 4 proposals. Your proposals are submitted and evaluated in 8 scientific panels: chemistry, economic sciences, information science and engineering, environmental and geosciences, life sciences, mathematics, physics, and social sciences and humanities. Nevertheless, Staff Exchanges projects work across scientific fields, fostering interdisciplinary synergies and cross-cutting innovation. We recognize the critical contributions of the academic sector, but also strongly believe in the innovative potential of the private sector. Staff Exchanges offers private companies a direct access to researchers' expertise, keeping them involved in the latest trends in their fields. Our action also provides opportunities for companies to expand their networks globally and connect with new partners and markets. I recommend Staff Exchanges to companies for several reasons. Companies can tap into a pool of researchers and innovators, gaining access to cutting-edge knowledge and techniques that can drive their R&D efforts forward. Participation in Staff Exchanges helps building and expanding professional networks, fostering long-term collaborations with academia and other industries. The cross-pollination of ideas and shared methodologies can lead to a boost in innovation, to the development of innovative products, processes, or services, giving companies a competitive edge. Employees participating in exchanges benefit from advanced training and talent development, enhancing their skills and contributing to the company's human capital. Our action also promotes a cultural exchange that can enhance social skills and adaptability, important attributes in today's globalized business environment. In summary, Staff Exchanges is a strategic investment for companies looking to innovate and stay ahead in a rapidly evolving global market. Our goal today is to inspire and motivate you to submit outstanding research proposals for our current call, which opened last December with the deadline to submit applications on the 16th of April. Under this call, we will award 97.92 million euros. The call has many novelties, which you will hear about in detail in the next presentation. Today's agenda includes presentation on the 2026 call and its novelties, the evaluation process, proposal submission, useful tips for writing a good proposal, open science, ethics, and finally, conclusion and your questions.
My name is Thomas Visikas and I'm Head of Sector in the MSCA Staff Exchanges. Let's see together the characteristics of the call 2026 and the novelties compared to previous calls. We keep what works well. We keep what makes this program stand out. This makes a solid base for building a research collaboration ecosystem. In Staff Exchanges, applicants come up with their research questions in a bottom-up approach. The only condition: aim for excellence. Suggest synergies that multiply the value of separate projects. Staff exchanges brings tangible benefits to researchers and their organizations. Skills development, knowledge transfer, cooperation, networking, all materialize through secondments. The collaboration cuts across different sectors, disciplines, and countries. This brings creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship. The call is open to organizations across the globe and their staff of any nationality. Staff exchanges is usually an entry point to the Horizon program for newcomers. Staff exchanges funds mobility of staff to other organizations. The funding is based on a unit cost model. 1 unit corresponds to 1 month of seconded staff. As simple as that. The total amount per staff per month is €5,170. The largest part of €2,870 goes to the seconded staff as a top-up allowance to cover expenses related to travel, accommodation, and living costs. The organization receives €2,300 per month for research and managerial costs. We provide full flexibility to the consortium how these institutional costs will be used. Staff Exchanges supports inclusion and provides, when needed, a special needs allowance for staff members with long-term physical, mental, intellectual, and sensory impairments. Each staff member must do a minimum of 1 month of secondment and cannot exceed 12 months in total in the course of the project. The duration of each secondment can vary depending on project needs. The maximum number of person months is 360 months, which must be planned and performed within the 4 years of project duration. Let's see now in more detail how the secondment should be designed to be eligible. First of all secondments must be international. In other words, the staff must be seconded to a country different from that of their sending organization. The eligibility for funding depends on the type of country where the participants are established. Horizon Europe sees countries in 4 categories: EU member states, associated countries, low to middle-income third countries, and high-income third countries. This list evolves, so check the details in the Horizon Europe program guide at the call portal. What is eligible? Any mobility between EU member states and associated countries. Any mobility from EU member states and associated countries to all third countries. Low to middle-income third countries can send and receive staff from EU member states and associated countries. However, Staff Exchanges does not fund secondments between third countries irrespective of their income. High-income third countries can only send their staff to EU member states and associated countries at their own cost, unless they request funding for exceptional reasons. It should be highlighted, though, that several third countries have established complementary funding mechanisms for MSCA Staff Exchanges, as explained in the call page. Who can go on a secondment? Our program is flexible also here. Researchers, technicians, administrative personnel, and managers can experience the benefits of mobility. Seniority is not an issue either. The program is open to researchers at any stage of their career, including doctoral candidates and postdoctoral researchers. Only 2 conditions apply. The staff must have a contract with their organization and be engaged in research and innovation activities. After the period of the secondment, staff should return to their organization to maximize transfer of knowledge. Every year, we listen carefully to the feedback from the stakeholders, and we try to make the MSCA Staff Exchanges even more accessible and attractive. This call for proposals comes with improvements in the evaluation. First of all, the basic rule of eligibility remains. As a minimum, the consortium should consist of participants from at least 3 different countries, 2 of which must be EU member states or associated countries. To underpin the importance of intersectoral collaboration, we added the rule of including participants from both academic and non-academic sector. Next, we added an evaluation sub-criterion in excellence to further promote proposals with robust international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary collaborations. Finally, only excellent proposals can be funded, and thus applicants should score a minimum of 3 out of 5 for all evaluation criteria. MSCA Staff Exchanges wants to open new paths, not to put obstacles. For this reason, we made the rules for secondments even simpler. Now, there is more flexibility to mobility within EU member states and associated countries without the hard rule for secondments across disciplines. New employees can now go on secondment from day one, planning their time to best fit their research plan. Secondments have a clearer aim, fostering and sustaining collaborations. You must demonstrate this in your proposal and show how the funding will bring your network to the next level. Secondments are also made easier. We boosted the top-up allowance to help researchers move. In conclusion, MSCA Staff Exchanges became simpler than ever before. Fewer restrictions, greater flexibility, more funding. It's up to you now to make MSCA Staff Exchanges your next move.
My name is Gianluca Coluccio. I'm the call coordinator of the MSCA Staff Exchange program. In the next slide, I will present you the evaluation process. Once the MSCA work program is approved, we proceed with the publication of the call in Funding and Tenders Opportunity Portal. From that moment on, you can start the submission of your proposal. In the portal, you can find all the relevant documents, including the guide for applicants. All proposals must be submitted before the call deadline. After the call deadline, we distribute the proposal to 8 scientific panels as indicated in Part A of your proposal. The success rate is similar among the different panels, and this is because the distribution of the indicative budget of the call is proportional to the number of eligible proposals received in each panel. Next, the evaluation starts with the support of external scientific expert evaluators. Applicants should expect the result within 5 months after the call deadline. The new project will sign the grant agreement 3 months afterwards. External experts support REA with the evaluation process. They are selected by REA on the basis of their scientific capacity and experience, while respecting diversity rules. We also check the balance between academic and non-academic sector. Potential conflict of interest are thoroughly checked to ensure the integrity of the process. Experts work independently, not representing their employer nor the countries. To serve as an expert for the European Commission, you need to first register in our database and upload your CV. Beyond the expert evaluators, other actors are also involved in the evaluation process, steered by REA. Vice chairs, who are experienced experts assisting the quality checking of the evaluator's report, and an independent observer whose role is to ensure the transparency of the process and the fair and equal treatment of the proposals. The evaluation is divided in 2 phases: the individual evaluation phase, done remotely, and the consensus phase, when experts meet to discuss and reach conclusion. During the evaluation phase, the experts assess the proposal on their own, only according to their work criteria and sub-criteria. The experts draft their individual evaluation report. Each proposal is assessed by minimum 3 experts. During the consensus phase, the experts will meet and discuss each proposal to reach a conclusion on the comments and scores. A consensus report is produced, which serves as a feedback to the applicants. The proposals are ranked according to the scores received, and on the top scoring proposal are selected for funding. In case of equal scores proposal, are prioritized according to the rules laid down in the work program. The evaluation is done against the 3 award criteria: excellence, impact, and quality and efficiency of the implementation. Each criterion is scored from 0 to 5, but all criteria do not count the same. The excellent criterion, in fact, takes prominence by having the highest weighting factor of 50%. Impact counts for 30% of the total score, and quality and efficiency of the implementation for 20%. A proposal can be considered for funding only if it meets the minimum threshold of 3 for each criterion. On top, there is an overall threshold of 70% of the maximum total score. In staff exchanges, even though the proposal was not successful in previous evaluation, it can still be submitted in a new call. Usually, applicants take advantage from previous evaluation to improve their proposal for the next call. However, this not automatically result to an increase of score. Each evaluation, in fact, is an independent peer review process. This means that evaluators may have a different opinion from the previous ones. Also, the state-of-the-art can evolve and deem proposal less innovative. Call conditions may also change, and that's why applicants must always follow the latest template and guidelines. There are three possible outcomes of the evaluation: selected for funding, reserve list, rejected. If your proposal is selected for funding, then congratulations, you are among the top scoring proposals. You will be invited by REA to start the grant agreement preparation process. If your proposal is placed in a reserve list, it means that it passed all the evaluation threshold, but it is not high enough in the rank list to be funded. There is still a chance to receive funding if additional budget becomes available for the call. If your proposal is finally rejected, it means that it failed one or more of the evaluation threshold, and it cannot be funded. You can use this time until next call to improve your proposal.
My name is Vasiliki Exarchou, and I'm the call coordinator of the Staff Exchanges Marie Curie Action. Together, we will see how to submit your proposal. All information is available in the EU Funding and Tenders portal. In the Funding tab, write in the quick search MSCA Staff Exchanges 2026, and you will land on the call page of our action. Here, you will find all the necessary material you will need to study before submitting your proposal: the general information, call updates, conditions and documents, budget overview, etc. To start your submission, log in to your account and click the button Start Submission. Once you start your application, you will be redirected to the submission system of the European Commission. We strongly suggest checking the relevant documentation thoroughly before starting your submission. Especially check the MSCA work program and its annexes, the proposal templates, and the guide for applicants. These two are the most essential, together with the online manual on how to submit an application. You can also go back to the Fundings and Tenders portal and check the frequently asked questions. You may find there the answers you need. Now, if you still have questions, you can use the Research and Query service and submit your query. The submission process includes two parts, Part A and Part B. Part A is the administrative form on the consortium composition and EU funding and is filled online. In Part A, you need to state the general information related to your proposal, the proposal acronym, the title, the duration, the main scientific panel to which the proposal is associated. In other words, the core discipline of your proposal idea. Remember that this is the panel where your proposal will be evaluated. Also keywords to define the other disciplines that may be involved. The information you will insert here will be used to support REA services in identifying the best qualified evaluators for your proposal. In Part A, you will also provide the list for participating organizations, the budget requested per partner, and the section of ethics and security. I would like now to draw your attention to how you accurately fill in the budget table. The proposal is built on secondments. In this table, all listed partners should encode the number of seconded researchers and the number of person months according to the planned sending secondments. The budget of the proposal is then automatically calculated. Participants from EU member states, associated countries to Horizon Europe, as well as participants from low and medium income third countries should encode the number of seconded researchers that they planned to send and the respective person months in the budget table. On the other hand, participants from high-income third countries are not automatically eligible for funding and must encode 0 number of seconded researchers and 0 number of person months. However, they may want to request funding exceptionally. In this case, follow the instructions in the Guide for Applicants and add the respective information in both the budget table and the relevant section of Part B1. During the evaluation of the proposal, the experts will assess the information and accept or reject the request. Part B consists of 2 sections, B1 and B2. Part B1 is where you describe your idea, the goals, the objectives, the work packages, and all technical information. You will elaborate your proposal according to the 3 award criteria: excellence, impact, and implementation. You must respect the page limit and the font size. Circumventing these rules may make your proposal inadmissible. When preparing Part B, have the Guide for Applicants beside you and follow the headings carefully. In Part B2, you will have to fill up a table with data for non-academic beneficiaries of the consortium, as well as a table with data for all participating organizations. I'm highlighting again that there should be a consistency across the different parts of the proposal. For example, a common issue that we see is that partners listed in Part A and Part B1, but are not mentioned in Part B2. Another example is that the exceptional funding request is not clear. For example, there is data in the budget table, but no information in the relevant section in Part B1. One question we are getting very often is, where should I start? The first step is to find partners for your MSCA Staff Exchanges proposal. You can build your Staff Exchanges consortium through networking events and international conferences, as well as through former or ongoing collaborations and joint projects. Apart from these obvious ways, we strongly suggest checking the MSCA Matchmaking Platform, which brings together academic organizations, companies, NGOs, and provides a unique opportunity to collaborate in MSCA calls. The Enterprise Europe Network. This is the largest support network for small and medium-sized enterprises with international ambitions. You can contact your national contact point for assistance and information. Last but important, you can find new partners using the Partner Search Announcements functionality available on the call page. You can also post your profile and offer your expertise to others. Let's summarize the basics to draft your proposal. Carefully check the call requirements. Be in line with the action's objectives and expected outcomes. Ensure that you comply with eligibility conditions. Follow the available guidelines and announcements. Use the structure provided in the templates and address all the evaluation criteria. Check also frequently for call updates. Search for your Staff Exchanges partners. Bring your existing and new contacts together, share your ideas, and discuss your plans. Approach new partners. Keep in mind the deadlines. Start preparing your proposal well in advance of the call deadline and submit in time. Before you submit, get a second opinion from a colleague. Have your proposal proofread by colleagues. You can get very useful feedback. Contact your national contact point to get more support and dare to ask.
My name is Iria Rio Echevarria, and I'll be guiding you through some key insights and best practices to help you draft competitive proposals for our upcoming call of MSCA Staff Exchanges 2026. As the competition for funding increases, knowledge and advice is going to be your best strength. Therefore, today, I'll cover common mistakes to avoid, tips for structuring your proposal, and strategies for creating a high-impact consortium. A competitive proposal always starts with a clear understanding of the template and evaluation structure. It's vital to address its criterion in order, respecting page limits and following the formatting guidelines, especially the font size, both for the body text and tables. Ensure the information is easy to find by writing precise headings and by using common terminology. Avoid placing key content in Part B2 unless this is explicitly allowed. Bear in mind, if information is hard to find, it might be considered as missing and you might lose points, so structure is key. Let's discuss some frequent pitfalls. Keep in mind that vague objectives can undermine your proposal. Oftentimes, proposals describe activities without explaining why they are innovative or even necessary. Your proposal should be ambitious, but not unrealistic. Work plans and timelines should be comprehensive. In terms of secondments, our program aims at international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary exchanges where knowledge transfer is highlighted. Another important point to keep in mind is that IPR is often overlooked, usually for academic partners. The risk identification and mitigation are critical. Avoid generic descriptions, instead provide specific risks along with detailed mitigation strategies. And last but not least, even if it sounds obvious, avoid copy and paste from other proposals or resubmissions. When building your consortium, aim for quality and complementarity over size. Each partner must have a precise and justified role, keeping in mind that genuine academic, non-academic collaboration is essential. You should design a strong secondment strategy. Remember, this scheme is called MSCA Staff Exchanges for a reason. Secondments should demonstrate mutual benefits for sender and host institution and must be linked directly to your project objectives. Balance the flows across partners and sectors. Explain why each of the hosting organizations is the best place for the activity developed in your project. Show how secondments bring skill acquisition and knowledge transfer. Typically, an MSCA Staff Exchanges project involves around 10 partners working in interdisciplinary fields. Since it is intersectoral, it includes universities and between 2 and 5 SMEs and industries across 5 to 8 countries in different continents. A typical project might also include between 20 to 30 seconded staff, resulting in about 10 to 20 publications and conference participations over a period of 48 months. An impactful proposal specifies who benefits, how, and when. Be specific. Your proposal should reflect realistic timelines and responsibilities, as well as aligning dissemination and communication with target audiences. Avoid overpromising regarding objectives and impact. Keep in mind that in MSCA, impact is not only long-term societal change, but it's also about knowledge transfer and training. Substantiate the claims you make and ensure consistency across objectives, impact, and work packages. You can use tables and figures as support for explaining complex information. Be consistent. Use the provided template to review your structure, coherence, and balance among excellence, impact, and implementation. Remember also that your national contact point will be happy to give you some feedback when preparing your proposal. Now place yourself in the evaluator's shoes. Think like an evaluator and consider that they read several proposals in limited time. So write for the evaluators, not for yourself. First impressions matter. A well-structured and credible proposal feels like much pleasant to read, causing a positive impression for their assessment. Balance your effort. All sections of the proposal matter. Objectives, impact, secondments, and implementation must be consistent, helping you to win points during the evaluation. Take time to read the guide for applicants. Proofread your entire proposal carefully, checking inconsistencies. Ask all your consortium to revise it as well. It could be a good idea to ask a non-expert to read it. Keep in mind that to allow enough time for all these revisions, you need to start early to prepare your proposal. Ultimately, this is about creating a narrative that is going to be as exciting for the reader as your research is.
My name is Marina Royer. I'm Project Officer responsible for Open Science in MSCA Staff Exchanges Unit. In this presentation, I will explain how to properly address Open Science in your proposal. How can you make your proposal a winner with Open Science? This will only come if you understand the concept and the context of Open Science for MSCA Staff Exchanges. Let's see together what the meaning of Open Science for your proposal is. Why is it important to address it properly? And how to address it in your proposal. In the context of proposal preparation for our call, the incorporation of Open Science is necessary because if the proposal is funded, the Open Science practices become a legal obligation under grant agreement. This means that all projects must implement the Open Science practices during the whole project lifecycle. You, as applicant, you also need to learn and understand what the Open Science practices are and how they are divided in mandatory and recommended ones. This simple distinction is very important for the quality of your proposal. Why? Because if you don't address the mandatory practices as it is required in proposal template, part B1, then the evaluation score will be lower. On the other hand, if you address the mandatory and also the recommended practices, then the evaluation score may be higher. For more details about the mandatory and recommended practices, please check this section on Open Science of the Horizon Europe Program Guide, page 42. Where is Open Science assessed in the evaluation of your proposal? It is assessed both in the criteria on excellence and implementation. First, in excellence, it is assessed under the methodology section, where you must describe how the Open Science practices, mandatory and or recommended as applicable, will be implemented as an integral part of your methodology. Very important to note, you need to show here how the choice of Open Science practices is specific to your proposal and not just include generic statements. This must be tailored to your proposal. And second, still in methodology, you must outline the plans for data management in line with FAIR principles. The second criterion where Open Science is assessed is implementation. Where exactly in implementation? Well, the first place concerns the capacities and roles of participants. When you describe them, you need to show how all participants bring together the necessary knowledge and skills, including, between other aspects, the Open Science practices. So, and the quality of participants in Part B1, Section 3.2, you will describe their previous experiences related to Open Science practices, which are corresponding to individual participants' profiles in the roles in your proposal. The second place concerns the achievements of the participants. In Part B2, all participants must provide a list of their realizations or achievements, such as Open Science publications, products, data, patents, software, processes, workflows, etc., which are relevant to your proposal. Before you submit your proposal, please remember to read this short but must-do list of documents with links to online resources. This is needed to address well Open Science in your proposal. And remember, Open Science is not just another requirement, it's a mentality in practice.
My name is Cristina Nemes, and I am part of the team responsible for the ethics evaluation. In this session, I will briefly explain how to complete properly the ethics self-assessment under Horizon Europe with a focus on staff exchanges action. I will highlight why ethics matters, how the evaluation process works, and how to avoid the most common mistakes. The ethics self-assessment is mandatory. Ethics should be seen as strategic risk management, not an administrative exercise. A strong ethics section in a proposal shows responsible research conduct, builds evaluators' trust, and avoids additional ethics requirements during the evaluation process. Transparency is key, but so is consistency between what you write in Part A with what you propose to do in Part B. Identifying an ethics issue does not weaken a proposal. It shows awareness and responsibility. The ethics appraisal is conducted at different stages of the project lifecycle, starting at proposal submission, continuing through evaluation, and extending into project implementation. It begins with a self-assessment prepared by the applicant in the application form. During the ethics evaluation, the experts will propose requirements and recommendations proportionate to the risks identified and the mitigation measures proposed by the applicant. These will become part of the grant agreement and will have to be implemented by the consortium during the lifetime of the project. This process ensures that ethics are properly integrated in the activities. Ethics are being monitored with a view to improve integrity and quality of research. The goal is to protect participants, researchers, and society while enabling high-quality research and innovation. Remember, the primary responsibility for compliance lies with the consortium. The project officer will monitor this during the lifetime of the project. This is the ethics self-assessment form that applicants need to fill in. It is part of the proposal template and comprises the ethics issues table as a first step, complemented by the ethics self-assessment as a second step. The ethics self-assessment starts with 10 key ethics issues, including humans, personal data, AI, animals, environment and safety, non-EU countries, and potential misuse of results. Each should be reviewed against your actual activities. Answering yes to any of the 10 key ethics areas does not disqualify your proposal. On the contrary, it shows you are transparent, have identified an issue, and have a plan to manage it responsibly. The ethics self-assessment has 2 steps. First, as applicants, you complete the ethics issue table from Part A, Section 4. There, you need to answer yes or no to questions covering the 10 key ethics issues mentioned before. Secondly, if any yes is selected, you must provide a clear ethics narrative explaining how the issue will be managed. If you do not identify any ethics issues, this must be clearly justified in the ethics self-assessment with arguments. Simply ticking no without explanation is in some cases not sufficient. Here are some tips on how to draft a clear and compliant ethics self-assessment narrative. A strong ethics narrative clearly explains the ethics issue, refers to relevant EU, national and international laws, describes mitigation and monitoring measures, and indicates supporting documentation such as ethics approvals, informed consent forms, or data protection measures. Be specific and tailor your explanation to your actual methodology, countries involved, indicate supporting documentation with a clear timeline for when they will be obtained. Generic or reused text is easily recognized and undermines credibility. Ensure harmonization of the way ethics issues are addressed in both Part A and Part B. Absence of information in any of them is generating more uncertainty for the ethics evaluators during the ethics appraisal and also more work for you during the implementation. The lack of information or inconsistencies will be addressed by the evaluators through more ethics requirements and recommendations. Best practice starts with integrating ethics early, using an ethics by design approach, where ethics are an integral part of the project from the outset. Applicants are encouraged to consult institutional experts, such as ethics committees, data protection officers, or legal advisors during the proposal preparation. Common mistakes include ticking no when issues exist, or answering yes without an explanation in the narrative part, or using generic statements such as standard procedures will be followed, or failing to align ethics with the work plan or data management plan in Part B. Another frequent red flag is making vague promises, for example, stating that approval will be obtained later without explaining when and how. These inconsistencies are explicitly highlighted in the official guidelines as risks. You can see here a list with important documents you need to check when preparing the ethics part of your proposal. How to complete your ethics self-assessment is your main guide that explains thoroughly how to successfully address the ethics issues in your proposal. To conclude, a strong ethics self-assessment is an investment in your project success. It demonstrates responsibility, foresight, and professionalism.
It has been a pleasure to introduce to you the 2026 MSCA Staff Exchanges Call. As you see, it is a great opportunity for your organization with an increased budget of 97.92 million euros and an attractive high success rate. Don't miss that opportunity to be part of the next chapter of staff exchanges and contribute to research and innovation in Europe and beyond. If you still have some questions, don't worry. Feel free to drop your questions via Slido with scanning the QR code on the screen. We will organize a session in the next weeks to answer all your questions. The next Staff Exchanges project can be yours. Stay tuned.